So welcome to today's webinar. We'll just give it a couple of minutes while everybody joins. We've got a few attendees hopefully for today, so give it a couple of minutes and then we'll kick off. For those of you who are joining, we're just give it a couple of minutes while people join, and then we'll kick off the webinar. That's the couple of minutes up, so I'll kick off and hopefully people can catch up as we're going through the webinar. So I'd like to welcome everybody probably out the busy schedules to join today's webinar with ourselves and Microsoft, enhancing security operations in the era of AI, which is a very topical subject we feel with speaking to customers and partners and the industry at the moment. So go to the next screen, please, Jose. Yeah, a couple of housekeeping things. We are recording it, so this will be available post the webinar. You're all on mute. Questions, there will be some poll. There'll be a single poll, and questions you can put in the Q&A. If we don't get to the Q&A at the end, then we'll follow that up after the webinar's concluded. Okay, so we'll just go through the agenda today. So obviously introductions, which will be on the next slide. We're going to go through briefly what ANS and Microsoft are seeing in this landscape from an AI perspective, and then we're going to start going into some of the security in the era of AI. So what does that mean? You know, what are attackers doing? What are we doing to protect from AI attacks, and how we provide the necessary tools to protect our customers and our infrastructure. And then Jose, who I'll introduce shortly, will be then going through an introduction to the unified SecOps platform. We'll give you a bit more of an insight into that and what that means going forward. And then we'll look at a foundation for AI. So what do we need to look at from an AI perspective, and how will we use and start to inject that into our strategies and our operations to protect ourselves from AI and also support AI systems. And then at the end, we'll then do how we can actually help you on the journey if you're only in whatever part of the maturity you're in on that landscape. We'll provide some help and how we can provide some guidance on that. Next slide. So our hosts are myself, Mark Johnson. I'm the head of pre-sales for security and connectivity at ANS. I've been in ANS for 11.5 years, responsible for the strategy. We also have Steve Jackson, who is a senior security solutions architect. It will go through some of the complexity within the platform within the webinar. And then our illustrious guest, Jose Zaro, who's from Microsoft. He's our senior partner cybersecurity architect. And we'll be going through the unified SecOps platform in a bit more detail to give a bit more of insight with a little bit of a demo as well. So hopefully you'll get some good insights into the tooling and the evolution of what Microsoft are doing in this space. Okay, next slide. Okay, a little bit about ANS. For those that don't know a bit about us, ANS has been in operation for over 20 odd years. However, from a security perspective, we've modernized our SOC. We've got a 24/7 365 security cleared and UK-based SOC. We have, from a security futures initiative perspective, which is one of the Microsoft initiatives, we have very much a security focused practice for a lot of the areas within our business that delivers digital and AI transformation. So anything around security, DevOps, biz apps, cloud and infrastructure, and data and AI, where everything is secure by design, secure by default, and all that feeds into our security operations. And as you can see on the right hand side, you can read the accreditations, which we're very, very proud of. And obviously, working with a partner like ourselves, obviously you need to make sure we have the right accreditations to support you on your journey. Next slide, please, Jose. So security, what it means to us. So let's just go into the next slide now, Jose, and what we're seeing in this space. So whether people know, but cybercrime from a GDP perspective is the third largest in the world after USA and China. With I think 2026 was the $10 trillion mark that cybercrime will provide into GDP. As you can see, a very well organized structure. These guys have they have proper payroll, they have HR, they have holidays. It's properly well organized, and the structure itself. I had a previous slide from a previous webinar about how this organization works through gathering intelligence, using affiliates, and then obviously buying ransomware kits and things like that. It's all very well organized. And as you can see from the stats there, half the businesses, or around a third of charities as well, are affected by phishing and ransomware attacks. So by far, we need to start to think how we would use the protections and the detections that we need within our environments to protect from this type of attacks. But AI brings another theme to that, in that the entry to this industry is a lot easier now through the emergence of AI. So ChatGPT, even Copilot for that matter, can start to provide the necessary tools for attackers to use to be able to get compromises within a customer's environment, so your environments. And there's got 3 examples there. I mean, there's some recent ones around Marks and Spencer's, Harrods, and one this morning, hot off the press, was Adidas. That's been also been breached from a data perspective. So we know, although this is retail, we know that every single industry is under fire through this type of mechanism. Next slide, please, Jose. So what are ANS seeing today? So as we start to work with our customers who are going on that journey, either it's going into cloud transformation, or if they're looking at digital or even AI transformation, which we've got recent engagements with, we're starting to see quite a few things that are happening and what's driving that change. So if you just want to run through the animations, Jose, just run them all the way through and I'll talk through them briefly. So with AI and with the way that attackers are starting to use this technology, 24/7, 365 SOC coverage has been something that we've been mandated to provide for a lot of the industries that we support. And cloud and digital and AI transformation is something that is moving from, as you can see there, legacy tooling, moving from having a lack of necessary skilled resources. We know we're 4.7 million cyber professionals resources down in supporting appropriately all the infrastructure that we expect to be supporting globally. So we know this is a massive challenge. It's a massive challenge for our customers and also our partners. So making sure that we can provide some form of support and foundation for customers going on that journey as they start to transform. Supporting of modern platforms. So we've talked about obviously going to things like Kubernetes and looking at AI. So AI now has a whole raft of different, with AI Foundry. We've got AI platforms, LLMs. We've got all the certain components that customers are starting to look at as they start to modernize and start to compete in their landscapes. I think there was a recent survey for CEOs in the Fortune 500, and I think it was 63% of those CEOs are touting at their business as being an AI first business, which provides so much challenge now for AI departments, even business units that would start to look at initiatives to deploy AI within an environment to be competitive and provide innovative services to their customers. Obviously, we can't get away from the IoT and the OT environments. That's a massive challenge as well. We want to get everything into a single platform. How do we do that? And also now our cyber insurance companies are starting to get more clever in the way that they start to assess businesses' posture and maturity to start to amend some of the mandates that they can do. And obviously that feeds into how we start looking at complexity in cyber security attacks, using AI in abundance now, but the entry to the market, as I recently just said, is that it's very low. We're using natural language to be able to use ChatGPT and use some of those tools to be able to write code or get into exploits and look at vulnerabilities. Next one, Jose, please. So navigating security in an era of AI, I mean, there's some bullet points there. I can go through some of the points within here. It introduces definitely some new security challenges. We're seeing that in abundance, not only just with customers, but we're seeing that with partners, we're seeing that with vendors. We're having to start to look at how we mandate these challenges and how do we actually start to put in some solutions. And we can give into a bit more detail about why Microsoft for us is the journey we want to take with them. And the leadership should also adapt to evolving cyber threats. So we've got to start to invest in tooling, in people, to be able to protect against these type of attacks. And obviously, as we have strategic approaches around transformation, and whether that be digital or AI, that also changes the landscape of what we need to protect. Also, we have more distributed applications, whether it's in AI, whether it's in SaaS, whether it's in PaaS and IaaS. We need to make sure, even private cloud, multi-cloud, we need to make sure we have the right tooling and support from a SOC perspective to provide that necessary support. And obviously then I'll go down to more down. Zero trust now becomes probably the biggest foundation that we see that people need to start to concentrate on. And it's a framework. It's always evolving. As the landscape evolves, so does zero trust. It needs to evolve. It needs to be mapped into your business. And how do we start to use that as a framework to protecting our entities, our people, our technology, and our services. Next slide, please, Jose. So I'll just pick a few of these, but these are the type of attacks now we're seeing from AI-driven attacks. So as you can see, a lot of the usual ones, phishing, as you'd expect, malware curation, but looking at how we can start looking at how do we protect against things such as deepfake tech. How do we look at auto reconnaissance? So that's where I was talking about the businesses that go out, the access brokers that will go out and basically trawl through all the dark web to find out where they can start to look at vulnerabilities into people's systems. When they start to use AI, that doesn't necessarily need a person now. An AI application could go away and retrieve that information with a lot more detail and a lot more pace, and be able to provide that into affiliates or affiliates that will be able to provide some service. Well, they will actually be the ones orchestrating the ransomware attack and using ransomware kits from the likes of Lockbit and things like that. So that's what will happen in that sense. The other one there is around data poisoning. So if I'm actually building AI, how do I actually protect the data that I've got that will be driving the models that I use within my business to create that that business advantage? So if I can corrupt the data then will be providing false inputs and false outputs into the training data, and that will obviously affect the outputs, and obviously that can affect business processes. So you can see there quite a few. You'll get a copy of the deck. So as you can see, there's a lot of detail on this particular slide, but you can see how AI is now being used with different attack vectors to be able to go in and start to retrieve this information from your environments. Next one, Jose. So I've been in a couple of events. I went to RSA last year. I've been into a couple of Microsoft events, and it's quite interesting to see how the SOC or MDR services are starting to evolve and how they will evolve over the next 18 months. Go to the next slide, please, Jose. There's maturity now, and we're seeing this where we are people taking customers now from that legacy SOC position on the left-hand side. People then start to transition to cloud native, whether that'll be it's obviously Microsoft with Sentinel and Defender for Cloud and Defender XDR products, or even other cloud providers. As we start to migrate and go to cloud transformation, we need to start putting modern tools in place. And as we start to do that, we need to look at the platforms that will start to look at things like SOAR. So how do we start looking at secure operational automated response, and how do we enrich that with AI data, and how we provide a lot more automation, so we can start to take a lot of that stuff away from the SOC to be able to look at true positives and have the noise, which generally is up to 90% of any platform, SOC platform, that we can be triaged out by using automation and using SOAR. But then we start looking at the emergence of, and this is what was quite interesting when I was in the Microsoft event in Lisbon last year, is the evolution of this, looking at semi-autonomous SOC. So using AI agents and agentic systems plus humans to start to protect and take away a lot of the emphasis on the SOC and humans, and giving them the best opportunity to triage more complex incidents and attack. However, the autonomous SOC or the agents themselves and the agentic systems, the agentic systems start to control AI agents. So you have a virtually an AI tier of SOC agents that will provide a hell of a support 24/7, 365. Is at machine speed. They're continuous learning, so it's not the same as SOAR. SOAR is very much playbook orientated, whereas AI agents will be self-learning. They'll be learning how, if things are changing with the system, then that can be retrained based on the customer, on your environment or customer's environment. But also the next one is probably the mission and vision of most probably cloud providers providing SOC services, is that fully autonomous SOC, and looking at AI agents and obviously agentic AI to be able to control all that. And as these services evolve, then we start to see there's certainly an appetite for customers to start looking at this. And the only appetite then for partners is to make sure that system is managed and maintained, so error handling is done. They've got the right memory, they've got the right learning. There's no spurious things that come out of the platform, but we can start to see it will start to evolve, and it will start to be able to cope with numerous attacks that are probably going to be coming from an AI attack landscape. So next one, please, Jose. So this is a little bit of a poll, just to keep it a bit more interactive. So in those 5 stages, where do you see yourself from a maturity perspective for the AI SOC? So there should be some answers in there. So if you'd like to just put where you feel you are, that would be interesting to see where people are. Just give it another few seconds if you want to answer. That's great. Okay, so we want to move on. Some interesting results there. So obviously, predominantly, we've got people in that nature's cloud SOC, and then people moving into the SOAR enabled. And we have a couple of you now looking at semi-autonomous or even fully autonomous SOC, which is quite interesting to see. So that's after 63% of the vote. That's useful. Okay, we'll move that one. Okay, so a quick one from Gartner. It's always good to get some market analysts' view of where they see security, and very much they are looking at how customers will start to consolidate tooling and look at advanced integration. And it's very pivotal to do this. If you look at AI works predominantly from data and making sure that it's all in one place. It's managed, it's protected, it's secure. However, we want to use that data to provide that necessary information or instruction into agents or SOAR for that matter. We can start using that data in one place. We look at the whole Microsoft landscape. You can see there we have Security Copilot, we have Security Graph, we have all the security products that sit within that, which are skill sets that go into Copilot, and we have an LLM. So all that information comes together to be able to support things like AI agents and chats and things like that without the platform. So it just shows you how important getting data into one place and getting it managed and secure in the appropriate way provides a lot of benefits into supporting AI SOC going forward. Okay, next slide, please, Jose. So I'm just going to hand over to Steve now, who's just going to go through the complexity, and this is why one of the reasons why we've looked at working with Microsoft extensively to provide the support to the services that we provide, but also these are the services that you could also leverage in your own environment. So I'll hand over to Steve, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, Mark. Good morning to everyone. Yeah, really, this is just to show what the challenge is really when we're talking about consolidating security operations. This is more than just endpoint detection or extended detection and response type tooling. There's a lot more to it than just that. So this slide is very busy, so I do apologize for that, but you will get it in the slide deck post the webinar. But there's lots of things to consider here, really. It's not just my AV, it's my identity and access. So things like Enter ID, what that's doing, things such as what cloud services you're using, what shadow IT is in use across the organization. So, are you really aware of who's accessing what, who's using what services that are out there that aren't necessarily sanctioned by your organization? So all of these different factors feed into security operations, and historically it's all been separate tooling. It's not necessarily been from the same vendor. There's never been really a single pane of glass for all of this. You've got your cloud platform, that's great, but you've got in there, in terms of Azure, you've got Defender for Cloud, you've got all the plans that sit behind that, covering workloads, covering SQL, covering containers. And then you've got your user endpoints as well, and the environments that they're using, such as Office 365. And all of that culminates into what security operations should be monitoring, should have visibility of, should be alerting on, should be dealing with incidents and cases on. And it's a lot easier if this is in one place than it is if it's in a load of disparate different locations or using different tooling. So really that's what this slide's trying to get across, really, is that level of complexity that's in there and the challenges that security operations face going forward, whether that's unified security operations, but also the application of AI, how that's going to help, how that can interact with the data that all of these areas are bringing into that security operations platform. So next slide, please, Jose. So really, just to put it in an operational context, your raw data is your tooling, it is your log sources, it is everything that feeds into your security operations, whether that's network, whether that's your cloud infrastructure, whether it's your Entra, whether it's your Office 365, it doesn't matter. All of this has a security layer across it. Everything has a security implication behind it. So, data loss prevention is a big one. Purview is part of that, and having all of this in one place is key, really, to efficient operations, but also to having a full picture of what's going on and providing the insights that they bring to security operations as well. So, I mentioned the XDR tooling is part of it, but XDR should and does cover a lot of things, and it should do as well. It's not just about ransomware and AV, it's about everything else that goes with it and feeding into that platform, but also then being able to provide a threat intelligence overlay on top of that as well to enrich these incidents, these alerts that are happening as and when they occur, and integrating that in with a SIEM platform such as Sentinel, the SOAR and automation capabilities that brings, but also what can AI do? What can that bring to the party as well in terms of assisting security operations and the team that's there, providing speed of response and efficiency of response, providing context around incidents as well. So when they're happening, the SIEM tooling is great at flagging an alert and saying, I found this, my analytics rules discovered this, but providing essential context around that, integrating that in with the threat intelligence as well to give you a fuller picture of what's going on, to summarize quickly what's going on, and also hopefully being able to carry out automated containment and response actions as well, where permitting and where you're happy to do so. So AI gives that stepping stone really to automate a lot of this process to speed up that response and reduce risk. And case management is a large part of that, and that sits around everything really that should be done. That's where the response happens. That's where that information is ultimately going to end up, from all the way down from raw data up from there. And the security operations and the SOC analysts can get on and do their job in an efficient manner, or the automation can get on and do its job in an efficient manner with AI. And over to you, Jose.
Awesome. Right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mark, Steve, for the invite. Thank you for sharing those insights on what you guys are seeing from the partner side of things, right? You're dealing with customers on a day-to-day, so you understand what the attack surface looks like and how it's evolving as time goes by. And that's why we from Microsoft are trying to find ways of offering a unified experience for our customers. Those implementing those security solutions, being able to have that single pane of glass that we keep mentioning, right? And that's why we saw the need of that consolidation of all of your Microsoft solutions in one place, which reflects in what our new unified SecOps platform actually offers. So I'll tell you a bit about myself. So you know what I do and my sort of engagement on a daily basis, so I can give some context on how I can just contribute to this conversation. So my name is Jose Lazaro. I am a cybersecurity architect. and I work with Microsoft partners in the UK, but also customers at the enterprise level, right? And my job, I love my job. It's very exciting. It's building, driving Microsoft solutions, like cybersecurity solutions, going down to the architecture level, but then getting hands-on as well and actually deploying those and looking at the actual impact that those solutions will have for our customers in a positive way, right? Just being able to offer them a way of being productive and also secure. So for today, we are going to have a quick briefing around the threat landscape. We're going to be talking about what we get to see from Microsoft based on the amount of customers we serve and our partners as well feedback. Then we're going to look into a security operation centers. So what MSSPs do, like ANS, right? What does that look like in terms of services? And then how you can transform your business using SecOps, right? And looking now about what the future looks like, right? Really. So at the end, I have a demo as well. I'll show you what that platform looks like and the value add. We're going to go through like a ransomware attack. I'm going to show you, what we see and why having that integration, it's so important for you to stop things as they happen. The first thing is that what we're seeing in cybersecurity is 4 top trends, let's say. It's always going around the same conversation on and on. The first one is that we're seeing on customers that they have a lot of technical debt. I'm sure you, Mark, Steve, agree to this, right? It's really hard to keep up, right? We patch something and then tomorrow there's a new 0 day that you also have to patch, and it keeps going on and on and on. And it's a never ending task, really. And it's a challenge because as a business, you want to do business, you want to work, to focus on what's making you money. So security might not be your top priority, but actually it's quite important because if you get compromised, if you get hacked, you'll be in trouble, right? It will damage your operations, it will damage your services. As you mentioned before, Mark, M&S, right? We're actually looking at the impact that attack had to such a big organization in the country. Now, we're also seeing a growing risk of breaches due to staffing shortage. You can have the money as a business, as a company, to hire the right person to implement security, but you will not be able to find the skill set out there. It's really hard to find the right people to build your own security team in-house. In my experience, I've been doing this for the last 10 years, it's nearly impossible, right, to get what you need. And that is why having a partner, a security service provider, somebody who is an expert to help you and hold your hand in your security journey, it's so important. And that's why I work with partners such as ANS to help you drive this journey. But again, looking into a complexity, right, of cyber attacks, they're getting really, really clever, right? I keep getting emails on my inbox saying, "Congratulations, you have won this Amazon voucher," and it looks legitimate. I'm at the point where I'm tempted to click on it, right, to see if that voucher is true, is real, and I think it's getting really challenging to actually pick up when something is coming for you. If you remember, maybe 5 years ago, you would receive this email from this Nigerian prince saying you have won, you're going to inherit this fortune of $1 million. But you could see that the English, the grammar, which did not make sense. Now with AI, that's gone. It looks really, really real. And it's quite scary, really, for us and for people out there that don't understand security. Another attack I've been seeing, it's you get an SMS, text message, saying we've got a parcel for you. You need to pay £2.50 if you want that parcel to be redelivered to your address. So you think it's just £2.50, and I might have missed the parcel because I was not at home. So you go ahead and pay for that, and actually it's phishing, right? That getting £2.50 per person. Imagine if they do that to 1 million people. That's £2.5 million that just got out of people's pockets. Very easy, right, to fall for it. And finally, we have ransomware, right? We're seeing an increase in ransomware. However, customers, organizations are more aware of it, and they're doing that are stopping, that are actually implementing measures to actually stop those successful breaches. If you remember, around 2 years ago, we had a group called Are Evil. They were Russian-based, and they were offering to employees from companies like an affiliate fee. They will pay you, or the actual employee, 30% of the ransom if the group managed to successfully compromise that organization. So let's say that the company will pay £100,000 to this ransom group. Then they will pay back to an employee £30,000. And it was a thing, which takes me to my next point. Doesn't matter sometimes how much security you have, because they will come in and go find an insider and then break in, as simple as that. And that's why you have to have that end-to-end coverage, which is going to help you to prevent those sort of attacks. You look into, for example, insider risks. You look into UEBA, which stands for User and Entity Behavior Analytics. You look into human behaviors, and you're able, through AI, machine learning, to pick up those activities and stop those type of attacks. Now, looking at an Intel profile, so this is something that we built through our platform. This is coming from Defender for Threat Intelligence, right? What we do is we analyze what's going on in the world. We get to see a lot of data of intelligence. We're analyzing around 80 trillion signals of intelligence a day, right? So we know about what's going on in the world. And we actually present this to our customers, to our partners, so they understand what's going on. And what we've done in here is to map out an attack, right? This attack is coming from a group called Octotempest, and they are known for ransomware, okay? As you can see, you've got the phases, right, of the attack. You have your initial access. They're using social engineering. And it's really interesting because, again, these people are native English speakers. So they will call you. They will say, hello, my name is Matthew from finance. I'm trying to get into my account. I'm not able to. Can you please reset my password, right? They will call the service desk of a company. They will call the IT team, or so on. And you, as somebody working on a service desk, might say, yeah, no problem, sir. I'll do that for you. And then you will do a password reset, and then Matthew will say, oh, actually, I'm not getting the text, the SMS message. Could you please add my new number, because I changed my numbers? Once that's happened, then they're in. They will swap that number, and they've got full access to your account. Then once they're in, they start enumerating your data. They start looking into SharePoint. They will start looking into your shares, whatever you have in there, and then map out what you have. They're not going to delete anything. They're not going to touch anything. They're going to start just discovering, so they can actually assess how much they can get out of you and your business. And they will also try to circumvent conditional access policies. For example, they will use VPN connections to say, I'm signing in from the UK, when actually they're based in North Korea, right? But they can actually bypass certain controls by just using many techniques available out there. And then, interestingly, if you have an EDR solution, most of these activities will be picked up, which is what happened in this instance. This is a real scenario, by the way. EDR picked up the actual activity. There was some lateral movement happening. They were trying to discover resources. And then we managed to stop that. We kicked them out from the systems. But then 2 weeks later, an alert came up. EDR is saying that against one machine, there's some anomalous activity happening, right? And we can only achieve that when you have an EDR solution, because EDR will look during the breach, will stop what's happened, but also we look at what happens after, post-breach. And we found the execution of a script, right, from a task that they created that will open a back door against that machine again, so they could come back. Because we had Defender for Endpoint in here, we picked it up and we stopped it. That's just an example, right, on how they get you compromised. Again, it's all layered, as you can see. They will try to bypass one layer, they move to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So what we found based on that.
Jose, can you just
Yes.
hide the where it says stop sharing at the bottom? Can you hide that? It's just Gregory from in the question said that, yeah, that's it. Brilliant.
Okay,
Sorry.
awesome. No, no worries. So defenders are working in silos, and it's a challenge, right? Because each person will be working on certain workload, for example, focusing on emails or endpoints or identities. But they very rarely will have that end-to-end visibility, which is what you need to have these days. And that's what we do through Microsoft, really. We help you to understand things the same way that hackers do. We'll help you to map out that attack path across all of your workloads, regardless of what it is. So you can actually see what happens in real time. And in my demo, I will show you exactly what this looks like for an analyst or for somebody working with the security team in your organization. Again, if you don't have all of these items, all of this mapping in one place, you will leave gaps, and those gaps will lead to a breach. As simple as that, right? As I said before, if they can't get through your account, they will try to find a laptop, an endpoint. If they can't do endpoint, they'll try to look into a server. They will try to look into the cloud. They will always find a way. And remember, before they were doing these things manually. Now, hackers, all of these cyber criminals are using AI. So they're attacking you at machine speed. So you have to have some way of offering that similar type of response. You have to be at that point where you can respond in real time to those attacks. And what that means is that right now, what we're seeing is that these attacks are happening in minutes, not hours. You need to act that now, right? It's very, very quickly. And again, right, security teams are trying to find force multipliers. They need to have that in place. You will not have enough people. And what we see as a force multiplier will be having a partner like ANS amplifying that security coverage that you need these days. Because there's not enough bandwidth. Simple as that, right? You're gonna get bombarded with alerts, incidents from many places, and it's really hard to tackle in reality. Now, from experience and what we recommend, it's just moving away from being reactive to moving proactive, right? And this is where I'm sure you'd agree, Mark. You have to have a SOC in there. You have to have a group of threat hunters running queries and looking, for activity that looks anomalous. Don't wait until you get hit. Don't wait until you get compromised. And that's what we offer, right, through a platform. We look into analyzing the attack paths. We look into reducing the exposure. We give you secure score. We help you to create an asset inventory of all of your computers, laptops, servers, but also applications. And we help you disrupt attacks in real time. Some of these attacks are stopped by the actual engine, so there's no human interaction needed. As soon as that activity is picked up, the system will block that and remediate that problem. And then we give you that unified investigation so you know what's going on end to end. I'm sure you remember, Mark, Steve, 5 years ago, EDR was okay. It was, good enough. We had the coverage at the endpoint level, and no problem. I think we were in a good place. Now it's just not enough because it's only siloed at that endpoint. And as I said before, we had that layer sort of attacks now that if they can't get through one way, they'll try the next one. So what you need to have is XDR that will offer you that holistic security and signal correlation across identities, email, endpoints, applications, and so on. And being able to have that multi-incident investigation experience, being able to correlate, to group up all of those alerts, 30, 40, 50 alerts into one single incident, and then look at what's been happening, right? With a timeline, with all of your IOCs, with all of your entities in there. So you have that full view. And this is part of my demo as well. I have an incident which will show ransomware, and you see how much happens in just within minutes. And it would be nearly impossible for one person to actually just tackle all of that, right? At the pace that we need that to be tackled. Now, looking into our platform, that unification I said before, what we've done is to put everything together in one place to offer you that single pane of glass. You have your, XDR solutions, OT, IoT, data, identities, and so on in one place. So it will help you to understand what you have, create your asset inventory. Then we also simplified and unified the SIEM. We have now included the SIEM within the SecOps platform as well. So you no longer will have to go into Azure, but then you'll have that full access in one place, which will impact as well the access controls, right? It's far easier to manage things at scale, just having everything in one place. Cloud security, I mean, we can connect any public cloud vendor into Defender for Cloud, and then we can create that one asset inventory. And then we can start remediating, we can start looking into what's going on, mapping out any recommendations, and then tackle them against regulatory standards. For example, PCI, GDPR, and so on. We tell you what you need to do, and we also called out all of the impacted assets in there. AI as a foundation now, as I said before, if you're being attacked with AI, you need to be able to respond at machine speed. And that's part of now the experience that we're offering to our customers through Security Copilot, for example. We are able to correlate data from any source you like at speed, so you can have a full incident summary within just seconds. So you know what's going on, and then we give you recommendations on what it is that you have to do to stop that attack, okay? And again, that's part of the demo I'll show you. And then threat intelligence, right? I showed you that Intel profile before, just being able to understand who is attacking you, where they're coming from, their operational model, and so on. That will help you prepare and then stop the attacks, right? As simple as that. You know who's coming for you, so just better get ready. So I've got a couple of scenarios in here, and this is for Security Copilot, which is the automated triage with Security Copilot, right? So scenario in here is that you have lots of data coming from different sources, which means you will have to go and possibly having to sign in into each of these platforms individually, get the IOCs or the indicators of compromise that you need, and then put them in one place to then start your investigation. Sometimes can be hard, right, to map that out. It will take you time just to get the login details, just to get the API calls that you need. It's a full setup that you need to put in place. What we're doing through security and automation through the Logic App Designer in Azure, which we call playbooks for Microsoft Sentinel, it's to be able to query, to analyze, to contextualize all of this data through pure AI. What does that look like, right? This is a playbook coming from Trigger in Microsoft Sentinel. It's going to look into the validation of the entity. It's going to look into threat intelligence. It's going to look, for example, into an IP address. There is somebody that's signing from Russia this morning. The first thing that the system is going to do through a Logic app is look at that IP address and look into threat intelligence, right? And let you know if there is a match with any of the IP addresses that these threat groups are using to attack organizations. And then on the right side, you can see a full breakdown of exactly what it is that's coming from you, from all of your sources, XDR, right? Unified SecOps, all in one place. So as you can see, right, this will happen within just seconds. All of that incident overview, the full summary, and there's no need for human interaction. This is what you need to have these days, right? Now, let's jump into a demo. Do you have any questions for me, Mark, Steve, that you want me to cover before I jump into the demo?
No, all good, Jose, crack on. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Okay, can you all see my screen? Is that up? Okay, so this is the Unified SecOps platform. As you can see, on the left panel, you have all of your assets. You have your devices coming from Microsoft Intune. It will take into account your servers if you're using Defender for Cloud. And you can actually have a full breakdown of what they are, where they are, and so on. And when you click on these endpoints, as an example, right? Let's have a look at this one, Windows 11. It will give you a full breakdown of what it is. If it's a virtual machine, for example, if there is any incidents or alerts related to this endpoint, full timeline, right? What's been going on, connections, IP addresses, and so on, right? You are in full control. You have full visibility of what's going on in here. That also applies to Microsoft Sentinel. You have your threat management in here. You have your automations, your threat intelligence, your MITRE ATT&CK framework, how you align as a business as well to MITRE and so on. And again, I think I'm not gonna spend too much time on this because I've got, ANS who can actually walk you through, and it's customers at any time. But this will help you understand where you're at in your coverage, right? So you know that, for example, you don't have much around and enough coverage around initial access, right? So you might want to look into this. You might actually want to look into blocking any hardware additions. When you click on that, it tells you what it means and what you have to do as well to have that coverage. Now, let's have a look at an incident. I think that will be good. Let's have a look at this human-operated ransomware, which is what we were talking about before. And you'll be quite surprised to see how much happens in here. So we click on this, and the first thing that comes up right in your face is the attack story, okay? This is telling you what's going on and how it happened. And the beauty of this is when you click on play, you see where it all started, right? And then what's the path that the attacker has followed to compromise your business. And each of these items will have a breakdown explaining to you what actions have the hacker completed. For example, they have executed a payload, they have installed a script, they have changed your Windows registry, and so on. So you then can, based on this, take those actions that you need to have. Then when I was talking about machine speed, just being able to attack very quickly many layers of your security, look at this. This one attack had 72 alerts coming from different solutions, right? Imagine you as an analyst having to go through each of these individually on different platforms. It would be impossible. Right? It was going to take you hours. It's going to be too late by the time you find out what you've got to do or what's going on. What the system does through machine learning and correlation is to group them all together in one place and letting you know that, by the way, all of this is linked up to this one incident that started at this place, right? We do that, right? Great. Then assets. Who is impacted? That's the next question. When somebody gets hacked, what we know the hackers got in. What's going on? Here it is. You've got 7 devices, you've got 6 users, and you can actually dive into these users. You can actually see if there's any policies against these users being applied. You can see where they're coming from. You can look at the organization. Remember, we have Microsoft Entra ID, which is connected to this platform, being that unified SecOps. You've got that full investigation experience in one place. Mailboxes as well. You can look at the email addresses that have been sent. Maybe that email that had that compromised link, that phishing link that somebody clicked on that started all of this mess, all in here mapped out for you to look into. Some investigations, you can actually launch investigations around this. You can look into what's been triggered by certain malware, for example, being executed on a machine. There was Mimikatz being utilized. And then when you click on that, it's going to give you a breakdown of how it started, any of the entities being analyzed. And actually, it will tell you which or what was remediated as the system picked it up. It's not going to wait for you as a end user to click the button and stop it. If we know this is a problem, this is malware, they're coming for you, we will take the action in your behalf if you enable the feature of, obviously, for automatic remediation. Now, if I go back into this dashboard, I've got the evidence and response, which is what your analysts need to actually understand what's happened and what components we have taken into account to deem this as a true positive, as an actual attack in your business. And this is the part I love, which is now the recommended actions. What it is that you have to do to get them out and close those gaps in your business, right? And I mean, you can track the progress of this. You can see it says to address, which means you haven't done anything about it. It tells you whether you have the license or not. And then when you click on this, it will also, in some instances, tell you which devices, as this is the case, are exposed. And you can actually get a list of those, so you know what you need to tackle first. And we give you implementation steps and so on, right? Which is really powerful. And then finally, let's go back to the main dashboard in here. This is a full summary. This could be very noisy. It's a lot going on. I need to know now what's happened. You come in here. This is Security Copilot, looking into everything end to end and giving you a very brief breakdown of what just happened in your business, so you can take this to your CISO, CIO, decision maker, and just start tackling things as you go. So I hope this giving you a view of what we're doing and why we've made such a big investment and bet on this solution. And right now, the feedback we're getting has been phenomenal, really. This is what the future of cybersecurity looks like. All right. Over to you guys. Mark, Steve, have any questions for me?
No, that's great. I think everybody will probably have to see where the industry is going, and this is just a perfect example of unifying all these tools into one place to make it easier for the SOC to be able to triage appropriately and take a lot of that noise away, so they can be more effective in this space. So we're seeing that quite much, and of course, it's also the foundation for obviously starting to use things like Copilot, and probably leads me straight into this next slide. So we've got all this, the foundations in place. We're starting to aggregate data in the right place. It's all the security telemetry that we need. It's got all the inputs into exposure management, into threat intelligence, all in one place. And how do we want to start to augment other services to provide, again, further support for our SOCs is around AI agents and the agentic systems that sit on top of it. So if we go to the next slide, please, Jose. Okay, in the interest of time, obviously I'll flip through these, but this is just this is off a blog, and I'll make sure this blog's available to people to start to read. So Copilot's been out for probably over a year now. So the stuff that you can see, we've been integrated into all the tooling. So it's in Intune, it's in Defender XDR, it's in everything. It's in the Unified SecOps platform. And for us, it was good to see where we can start to leverage that and start to summarize and loads of capabilities within the platform to start to really help SOC analysts to be able to manage security incidents. But then you go to the next stage, and this is what we've just seen recently, which is obviously the stuff also saw in Lisbon. We now start to see in action Security Copilot agents, which is, again, another layer of support from a SOC perspective through AI agents. So you can see you've got one for threat protection, data security, identity, device management for Intune, threat intelligence. And we also now got partners starting to develop agents that probably will be able to be consumed through Marketplace to be able to start to build that AI augmented platform for SOCs and human operated SOCs. So it's all in the planning. Obviously, there's a lot more to this than meets the eye. Obviously, you need to start thinking, how do I plan access? How do I look at protection of those agents and things like that? However, we can start to see the start of this happening throughout the whole of the industry, and this is Microsoft's way of starting to do that. And we've start to see people really looking at how we can start to leverage and build this platform or this tier that will support. So tier 0, for want of a better word, but in our SOCs to help manage advanced attacks and making sure that covers their 24/7, 365. They don't go sick. They don't go. They're not hung over the night before. They're here and they're there to do the work 24/7, 365. So next slide, Jose. Which is what I run through the animation. That'd be great. So this is how we engage with customers. Through the challenge that we see because through transformation, so whether it's cloud, whether it's digital or AI, from a security perspective, we have a navigate function, which is basically how we would work with customers strategically, looking at where you are, where do you want to go with looking at that maturity scale, where do we want to go, whether it's going to be semi-autonomous or autonomous, but how do we get to where we need to get? And then obviously we build a transformation plan for that, or transition plan for that, getting to where you are to where you need to be going, and how that's wrapped in a business case. We do some checks of the tool that you currently got. So that's really a free engagement. The likes of Steve on the call will be there working with you, whether it's a workshop or it's multiple workshops, to understand what that strategy looks like. And then if you are like security is a very technology oriented or technical practice, we all know. So if you want to touch and feel the technology, we have professional service that can deliver this. These are funded workshops with Microsoft, looking at Sentinel, Defender XDR. There'll be probably Unified SecOps will probably be one that we'll start to look at. Data security through Purview. How do we start to adopt and look at the capabilities of the tooling that will augment what we're currently doing within our own environments from a managed services perspective, which will all feed into the SOC. And obviously will help with the onboarding and migrating from your current environments into a new target architecture. And then within the managed service, then you get an opportunity to be able to evolve and innovate with all this tooling that you've seen today. You can start to look at additions of that, the AI agents coming through. There may be other services that will start to augment. So Purview version 2 might come out, and we'll start to look at how we build that into the platform to help you manage your data, your apps, your people, your endpoints, and your security operations. Next slide. And these are just some of the funding initiatives that we've got. So our team at the back end is going to look at some of the ones that you're eligible for, but these are all funded, so probably free of charge for yourself. But make sure that if you are eligible for them, to take advantage of these. So to go through some of the stuff we've done today, you can start to leverage this funding to start to adopt and look at how you may be able to use this in your own environments. And again, free of charge. It's between A&S and Microsoft. We'll go and deliver them and provide the value back to you. Next slide. And then just some things for myself is prepare, have a strategy to look at how you would manage AI agents and agentic systems in the future, move along that maturity scale, so from legacy through to to native through to SOAR enabled. That is a journey we're all likely to take in this industry. So be prepared, understand the systems, understand access, look at identities. These agents will have identity like any user would have, or any machine identity would have, or a managed identity. All these have certain protections that need to be put in place to be able to protect that layer as they were if they were a human or they were just a machine entity. But also start to understand the capabilities and start to build out the strategy about where you would put AI agents, what function they would do, how you manage those from an agentic perspective. That's how we see the future of the AI powered SOC. And then I think taking that journey with Microsoft, and hopefully we'll take that journey with ourselves. We'll be certainly happy to help you on that journey. Next one. And I think that is us. 2 minutes to spare, but that was good timing. So first, I'd just like to thank Jose and Steve for obviously supporting me in today's webinar. I think it's a very interesting topic, really relevant in today's era of AI. If you need to reach out to us, our team will be reaching out to you at the end, just to, if you want any guidance, any help, please reach out. But obviously go out, then 3 points there is, look at the Unified SecOps platform. It will be coming out. Is it public preview, Jose, at the moment, or is it in full flow?
It's been launched now. You can transition.
It's been launched now.
We're advising for that transition to happen now.
Right. So investigate it, look at it, see what advantages and benefits it can provide your business, and if you need us to help you. But I think you can see the benefits from Jose's presentation today. It certainly gives you some food for thought about how you would be able to streamline, integrate, and provide the best integrated tooling to give you the best output or outcomes from a SOC perspective. And then Security Copilot, having to start to get your heads around the Copilot itself, but also where's the future of Copilot around AI agents and agentic AI, where you're facing a lot of noise in the marketplace for that. So, and again, if you need us to help, we can help you strategize or adopt modern security operations. And again, I'd like to thank you for your time today. Really appreciate. I know, guys, you're very busy. But to have this hour with us, it's very much appreciated, and I hope you have a good rest of the day and rest of the week. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.